All right. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Let's Talk Fabulous with Tamara. I am your guest host, Kim O'Neill, today. And today we're taking part 2 on the topic of healing through nature. We have all of our fabulous panelists backing in today. You're going to have fun. Let's talk. All right. Hello to all of our awesome panelists. I am so excited to be hearing from each of you. Each of you have such wonderful expertise that speaks to the earth and healing and nature and all these different components that we're going to get into. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick moment to hear from our digital sidekick, Renee.
Hello, everyone. My name is Renee Reich, founder of Finding Your Voice Network, Finding Your Voice Network magazine, #1 best-selling author for Finding Your Voice, Unlock Your Chains, Unleash Your Greatness, and Women's Life and Leadership Coach. Welcome to today's fabulous show, where we will be joined by guest host Kim O'Neill. She will be speaking about connecting with nature. That is something that's very near and dear to me, because finding your voice is really coming back home to yourself, connecting with yourself, and getting out in nature is a wonderful way to do that. So as always, get your pens and papers out there, sit back, relax, and get ready for some wonderful tips and tools you will be learning in today's fabulous show. Kim, take it away.
I love that. Thank you, Renee, for that message. And so to start off with all of our panelists, let's just real briefly, I would love each of you to say who you are and where you are located in the world. And let's go ahead and start with the person right next to me. We have Swampy here with us today.
Woo!
Swampy, where are you located in the world?
Glad to be back, guys. I'm over around Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay. And so everyone knows, do you prefer to be called Swampy or Kent?
Swampy's okay.
Okay, are you sure?
That means you can remember.
Okay, awesome. David, tell us where you're located.
We're actually in Modesto, California. That's about an hour north of San Jose. Most people don't know what Modesto is.
You're a ways up above me. I'm in Southern California, so nice to see you. Okay, and right below David, we have Skip. Where are you located?
Hey there. I'm in Mountain View, Arkansas, in the Ozark Mountains, in a holler down on the creek, a spring-fed creek. So I'm lucky to have a signal. We just got fiber optics, so it's changed my life.
I bet. And you bring a great point. That's going to bring us back to the word connection, which we'll get to in just a moment here. So awesome. And last but so not least, Barry, tell us where you're located.
Barry Mixon, and I am sitting on the banks of Lake Michigan in beautiful Chicago, Illinois.
Oh, yes.
I love it. I love that we've got a range of locations here. And let's begin with you. So David, Barry, Skip, and Tamara, who's not here today, but she's with us in the comments. So good to see Tamara with us. You all had a fantastic conversation that really touched on various elements of nature. And at the time, it was really in honoring Earth Day, earlier spring 2023. And we want to expand on that and then connect it even deeper into the healing through nature aspect of it. And so that's kind of where I want to start. I want to start with the word connection. And Skip, I'm going to start with you because I think this came through one of the comments you made in the last show. What comes up for you when you first think about how humans connect with nature?
Well, and I wasn't able because of some stuff going on with my mom. She had a series of health issues, and so I've been with her. But the word, there's probably no greater connection, word than connection in many ways. And I think connection with nature, we have become by design And honestly, with what I did as a filmmaker and my career has been about telling stories. And one of the things that I've noticed is in many aspects of our life, we've become very disconnected. And part of technology, I mean, when's the last time people go out and take their shoes off and connect with nature? And so that lack of connection is what has gotten us into so many, I say, very, very dark paths that we've got to now at this point with what's going on in the world, with humanity, within our own self, our family, our spiritual journey, is that key word is connection. So I don't think there's a stronger word.
Uh-oh.
And I'm going to say that the universe is saying, yes, spot on, Skip. Okay, thank you for sharing that, Skip. I'd love to have all the panelists speak to this. And while we are going through each person speaking to how humans connect with nature, I'd love our audience in the chat. You tell us, how do you connect with nature? What comes up for you when you think about how nature connects with your life, supports your life? Tell us about your experiences in the chat. We're gonna come back to those. So let's move on next to Swampy, who we did not get to hear from much at all last time.
Hey, everybody. How y'all doing?
All right.
Good.
Hey, nice to be here. It's been a while. Yes, I'm glad to be back. I'm going to share with you all a little bit the word connection. Uh, I was thinking about the word connection, and a lot of times we get to use the word competition. Okay. And I think competition in the past under our system has brought down society somewhat. In the old days, when I grew up, we had problems with the environment as well back in the 60s and 70s, but we were part of the generation of the green generation, and we took actions in order to solve our problems. So it's great connection with the nature. We also need to protect nature, and I'm big into clean water, wetland ecosystem protection, and Earth Day. So just a little bit of introduction. Again, great to be here. Look forward to this. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Swampy. And David, I see you next. Let's go ahead and hear your thoughts on connection.
Connecting. Yes, I'm a Southern boy. I grew up down south, New Orleans. I'm a swamp baby. Actually, insects and bugs grew bigger than your fist down south. I grew up in that type of environment, loving animals and birds. I thought I was a bird when I grew up. I just loved birds. I would adopt them and steal their eggs and hatch them. Is what I love. But basically, growing up in that type of environment was fruitful. It left me with an innate connection to the environment. So as I grew up, finished college, I started my career in computers. I got distant. I lost my connection. In my career, towards the end of my career, I took a course as a master gardener. That course put me back in touch with the soil. As a master gardener, you become a CSI agent for the environment. You have to study pesticides. You have to study the things that we humans do to the earth, to the soil. In that capacity, studying all of this stuff, I actually got my hands back into the soil. I started composting things. I started growing worms. I developed a course on worms and what they do for the environment and what they do for us. Getting my hands back into the soil connected me back to this topic that we're talking about today. It made me more aware that the soil was more important than the computers that I was working on, that the technology that I had learned. I spent a whole lifetime learning computers and engineering and all of that stuff, even invented a machine to help deal with the environment. But the best thing that I did in this life was put my hands back into the soil.
I love that, Dave. Yeah, that's something I want to speak to a little further on in the show too, is that connection with the actual earth. So thank you for sharing that aspect. So Barry, what are your thoughts about connection, humans, nature?
Oh, well, it's everything I do. I work with gemstones and precious metals, and when you talk about connections, there's really no, when you think about the whole history of mankind, the whole history of mankind really revolves around gemstones and precious metals. And when you talk about connections, you're talking about gemstones. Not only are the gemstones made out of those, remember those 118 elements that you saw in that periodic table that the whole universe is made of? Well, that's what gemstones are. And many of the same things that we praise and value for hundreds of thousands of years with gemstones are inside of us. So when you're talking about a ruby, when you're talking about a diamond, when you're talking about this month is peridot, when you're talking about connections, you're talking about the one thing in human history that everybody agrees upon. Yeah, I don't care if you're from Jamaica, China, Australia. You say go, you go to Jamaica. Yo man, you know about gold. Yeah man, I know about gold. Okay, I don't know how to say gold in Chinese, but if you go, you can speak no Chinese whatsoever, and you put out a piece of gold, they be like, that's gold. Okay, the rest I may not understand. So gemstones and precious metals, literally everything we do is around that aspect of it. So that to me is a huge connection, getting people to understand why people still feel about peridot in the 21st century the same way that Cleopatra felt about peridot in the first century. So you're talking about connections. To me, that's gemstones and precious metals is a huge example of the power of connections.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I love that, Barry. And one thing you said in the last show, I'm going to make it so everyone can see all of us the same here. One thing, I actually quoted this from the last show because it was a great one. So for those who didn't see part one, definitely check that out. But Barry, something you said in the first episode was gemstones. You said something about, okay, I'm paraphrasing you now. You said something about gemstones can empower people to discover the value of their story. Mm-hmm. And I want to incorporate that into today's conversation as well, because when people are going through any sort of healing experience, right, whether it be emotional healing, physical healing, mental healing, any kind of healing whatsoever, there can be a story around what's taking place, right? I know I've seen the heads nod. If you're with us in the chat, does that resonate for you too? Let us know. And so I love that you incorporated the aspect of being able to empower people with their story. And would you tell us about, because I know you know all about stones, and you shared with us some of the 4 key ones in the last episode. I'd love for you to be a little more specific. What are some stones that you think are specifically empowering for people?
Ooh, specifically empowering. Let's do this. There are 4,000 different minerals on Earth. Okay, really about 5,500, and about 100 to maybe 250 of them are gemstones that people use every day. And of course, we know the big 4: diamonds, rubies, emeralds, sapphires, pearls, amethyst. So when you really look at, you can talk about something as simple as carbon, right? We are all carbon-based life form. Everything that SWAMPY does, we're talking about life. We're talking about carbon. When you talk about what Dave is talking about in regards to dirt, so those are, every living thing are made out of carbon. So if you value a diamond, right? What is a diamond? We know that diamonds have to be formed, about 100 miles in the earth. It comes up as it looks like, it might start out looking like this, and then it takes pressure and heat to form. So I talk about when people go through hard times in their life, well, that's part of the formation. That's part of the process that you had to go through to get to where you want to be. No gemstone, you don't walk down the street and just find, oh, look, honey, there's a diamond. No, it doesn't work like that. You got to dig for it. You got to work for it. So I use those connections to get people to understand. Or let's look at, we live in a country or in a world where color is a problem, right? Color is a problem. But yet a diamond comes in every color of the rainbow. So if you can begin to understand the beauty of a red diamond, which is the most rarest gemstone as far as just value, and if your color happens to be reddish or you're brownish, I never look at myself as just a black man. I happen to be a brown diamond. I'm just not as Zales. Okay, that's all. You can't get me at Jared's. So I use those type of gemstones, or let's say peridot. Peridot, molecular structure. There's only 2 types of gemstones: There's gemstones that are allochromatic, meaning the color has to be placed in it, and it's actually an inclusion. It's not supposed to be there. And then there's gemstones like peridot, which is idiochromatic, which means it's already built in. So there's some people do have specific talents that's already built in. David just he didn't wake up and just say, oh, I want to study computers. That was something that he did. It resonated to him. Now, when in my neighborhood, if you were called Swampy, you were like, what? Swampy? But for Swampy, it works. And he made it work. And it's like, I'm happy to see him because I'm like, I want to see a man named Swampy. So you take what I do with gemstones, and you can hear how excited I am. Let me calm down. when you take gemstones, the same thing that we value in gemstones, whether it be color, whether it be shape, we have in a world where people get fat shamed all the time, right? But I bet you any amount of money, Kim, if your husband came home with this diamond, 4,600 carats, you would never say, oh, baby, that's too fat. That's too big. I don't want that. But yet we do that with people all the time. So if we switch what value is, if not switch it, look at it in a different way. So again, if somebody loses weight, somebody says, girl, did you gain some carats? Don't I look good? Yeah, I look real. I'm about a 30 carat diamond now. The whole concept, your whole way of looking at people would different if we use those same terminologies and concepts that we use at gemstones and apply it to people.
Okay, Barry, everything you just said deserves this.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was awesome, all around awesome. And I want to encourage anyone who's with us today, if you've never considered yourself to be a gemstone in whatever form, right? And thank you for showing us on camera the difference. And you might want to hold those up again, actually, the difference between the polished and unpolished ones. Yeah. Let me go back.
Actually, you know what this is actually? This is actually a sapphire. This is aluminum oxide. Aluminum oxide has no color until you put something in it. So if for a sapphire, it's a combination of iron and titanium, and that's what gives it the blue, yellow, green, orange, different colors. So here is Skip. This is Skip when he first started, right? He was just a gemstone, aluminum oxide, but his education, his training, his experiences, all the things he's done has created the Skip gemstone that you see today. There's really no difference. It's just that he's just not seen as a gemstone that you find in the jewelry store. You find him where you live, Skip? Tennessee. Where do you live?
Arkansas.
And guess what? You can find diamonds in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Voila.
And most crystals come from here. Yeah,
exactly.
Or Brazil. That's right.
There you go. See?
But I want to add something that was beautiful, and what a great storyteller you are, and knowledge. And you know what? It brought back to me being a filmmaker, storyteller, but also musician. I love music. When I moved here, a guy named Jimmy Driftwood is kind of famous. He wrote Tennessee Stud, Battle of New Orleans, 6,000 songs, and so forth. When I came up here after college, I started going to his house and had musicians and playing. And some people said, "Oh, he's so racist." He just like, what? I said, and Mark Jones, Grandpa Jones, Ramona Jones said, ask him, go listen to the song he wrote called "What's the Color of the Soul of a Man?" And it goes right to what you're talking about, is because there's a song he wrote. It's about what's the color of the soul of a man. We all come in different colors. Like, that was a beautiful story. But like his example in the lyrics was, if a red man married a white woman and they had children, what color is their soul? And that goes back to the diamond in each of us and the different colors, is we have that common, theme of that we all can be who we are individually, but we are all the same and connected.
I love that. You guys, we're only 1/3 of the way into the show, and I feel like we've already dropped so many, mic bombs. So thank you for what you have all added so far. I want to move over to Swampy. Swampy, I'm going to put you in the what do you call that? Right in the big spot there. And
in the cage.
In the cage. We didn't get to hear much at all from you last time, and I love where this conversation has already gone, and I want to really start to focus it now in the earth, soil, water element. And I know that that's a big thing that you were focused on. Will you tell us, tell us about swamps and how they connect to humans and nature, all that. Share with us.
Okay, first off, I've got a shirt that has different colors on it, yellow, blue. And you guys were talking about color, and that's what I do with Swampy. Swampy has several different colors. By the way, Barry, I regulated the coal industry talking about mining. So I know entirely what you're talking about, geology and hydrology. But now when I was regulating the industry, I really got into this beautiful ecosystem that was endangered. Kentucky's lost 95% of our wetlands. And wetlands are areas, they're actually on the shores between water bodies. Oceans are one of them. They're called marine systems. Estuaries, where the rivers go into the oceans, that's called an estuary. Rivers, riverine, lakes, lacustrine. Scientifically, this is the different aspects of these areas that are beautiful. Again, they're transformational areas between upland area and 2 meters below, and that area that transitions with the water. So yeah, I do a thing with kids. Swampy is color coded, by the way, as well. Our S is soils, which are brown. Waters are blue, and animals are red because they're like our lifeblood indicators. M is silver. It's not black or white, but it's mankind, womankind, and it also includes climate. P are plants, and that's a green heart. I actually have hearts besides Swampy. It's a new thing that I started. And then Y is yellow for the sunshine for our kids. And actually talk about that on my link tree as far as I have my own force. You may have heard of STEM or STEAM. I have my own education problem called STREAM, and that's science, technology, reading, energy, arts, and mathematics. So a few things there, but the funny thing is also creatively, I created a Swampy the Living Wetland. And it started off as a joke, okay, for Halloween. And I got really involved with wetlands. So I took this plastic and put it on the outside, and I painted it blue for the waters, brown for the soils, and green for the vegetation. And I was like a living swamp. I had music sounds, a music box, and I cranked up the volume. Then I put animals on the outside of it, snakes, frogs, and then I had on rollerblades and had a swamp stick and a swampy mask, okay? And when I cranked up the volume, the kids, okay, they were just so energized because kids really love, okay, creeks and natures. And that's what I'm saying. We want to pave over the soils, etc. But the earth wants to breathe. And like what you said, David, that's just so important as far as incorporating the soils, the plants, the animals. And I love doing that. And I'm also a big fan on Clubhouse. I talk globally about clean water, wetlands,
Swampy.
And Earth Day. So yeah.
Swampy, let me ask you. So why did you want to incorporate mankind into talking about all the nature components that you talk about?
Right. Well, they're kind of in the middle of Swampy, and it's really important that we take time to nurture our nature. And that's really important that we do that, because if we do not do that, then we will lose our fragile wetlands and our endangered species. Sometimes these are the last habitats, okay, for endangered species. So that's another reason. It's basically letting people know aware, okay, that they're out there, including our kids and our future. And we need to be proficient like we did in the 60s and 70s and bring it to the forefront.
Well, and thank you for sharing all that. And it's important. What I see is here as, man being on earth, woman, man being on earth, is we're the ones who help take care of it. Now, earth has its own natural cycle and processing and all of that. And I know you guys are way more experts on that than I am, but we all know that, right? Earth goes through the seasons and regenerates itself and all of that kind of thing, knows how to cleanse itself. But we humans, we have consciousness and choice, and can do all sorts of things to help take care of that, same as take care of ourselves. And where I'm going with this is, I actually was listening to a video that gave me some amazing insight I want to share with everyone for today's show, because it was meant to be shared. I was blown away. So Here we are talking all about healing through nature. And so often when someone's going through a healing experience, they know it ties right back into spirituality, right? We are more than just our physical bodies. It all comes full circle. And so here I was listening to this video of this woman who had had a near-death experience, and she ended up becoming a medium, and her psychic abilities became enhanced and all these kinds of things. And so she was on this podcast I was listening to, and she started talking about, and I'm going to read some of my notes just to get to the point a little quicker. So she was talking about when water and land merge, think about it, they make things grow. So if you are walking on the water's edge, anywhere on earth where that happens, right? The beach and the sand, or a lake and sand, river and sand, anywhere at all where you've got water and land meeting, and you tune into the frequency, simply allow yourself to listen, feel, and that kind of thing. That alone can amplify your healing ability and your intuitive connection to spirit and those kinds of things. And one other element that she added, and all of this was just blowing me away. Let me know in the comments if you resonate with this as well. And of course, we're going to hear from our panelists. But the next thing was she talked about trees. And anybody who knows me, I love trees. She said, and this is a quote, when she was channeling, this is what spirit told her. If you guys only knew the amount of knowledge embedded energetically in trees, every tree would be like a Google page. And when you connect into that frequency, it's like, okay, now I'm paraphrasing. When you connect into that frequency, it's like downloading the information, and all it's connected through their underground root system. The forests are like an internet-like consciousness of information. And here we are walking around on Earth all the time, not realizing the magnitude of frequencies that we can tune into at any time that want to be able to give to us and aid us in our healing, because we are also nature. So with that, what do our panelists have to say to that? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. It reminds me of and that we are part of nature. And one of the things that doing a filmmaker, I had a film that I got to spend a lot of time with the indigenous tribes, and David Swallow, he was a direct lineage from Crazy Horse, the Lakota tribe. And he said something that relates so much to what you just said, and about connection, how we become disconnected. But he goes, the trees, and he goes, the ants and the snakes and the birds and the four-leggeds, they all remember their original instructions. The educated two-leggeds have forgotten theirs. And that's so profound, because we've become disconnected. As you just said, we're part of nature, and that learning from nature knows what to do. We somehow have to try to analyze it and overcome it. But really, the frequency, the education, the wealth of knowledge that goes back that our ancestors knew, and it's a spiritual thing as well. We've got to reconnect to that. And that's part of, just that nature connection that is really going to be critical to, I think, our future and survival.
My take on that subject is that we are the students of the world. Here on this third rock from the sun, the only known planet in the universe, and the known universe that we encompass, we are the only ones with a planet that has life and active water on it. We human beings have separated ourselves so far from nature that we've forgotten that we actually urinate in fresh water. Human beings, our population has grown so drastic that, for example, if you put the recipe of a certain fish in a recipe and put it in a book, there are so many human beings on this earth that species will be eliminated because there's so many people eating it. The same thing is happening with such as garbage. Our waste, the waste that we produce, it doesn't grow on trees. It's something that man does. So with respect to healing the earth, it is a function that every one of us has to have a part in. I'm on a mission. The mission is to make earth great again by informing people and educating people to the effect of our actions. There's one act that all of us human beings, once we act on it, for example, throwing away water. Every time we eat a meal, McDonald's, we're going to get a burger, fry, and that soda. That soda, 16 ounces, pound. Half of that is going to be ice. Ice being the major conditioning for most of the things that we drink. If human beings were made aware of the fact that throwing away ice into a plastic bag, the black liner bag, the garbage bag, has a tremendous effect on the earth, on the water. Because if we could inform, like the Surgeon General, he comes out and he says, cigarettes are bad for you. Everybody stop smoking. We all did it. What if we could come out and say, hey, that cup, the 8 ounces of ice, fresh water that you throw away into the black liner bag, what if we could tell people, hey, that's bad. Stop. It's just like smoking. Stop doing that. We would have, tomorrow, we could stop global warming and climate change if we could get people to act in a uniform way. This is the reason for my mission, my purpose in making Earth great again, and the product that I have spent 30 years working on. Something that you have to get all of us to become environmentalists. We have to get all of us to be aware of the detrimental.
David, the thing I really hear coming through what you're sharing is the power of, as humans, our ability to take responsibility. Responsibility.
A lot of things. We can stop a lot of the problems. And one of the purposes and reasons for the machine that I invented is because it's a system. It's a system to entice us to change our
actions. David, I'm going to cut you off for a moment there. I want to actually share a quick clip with our audience to let them know more about the Tour of Love coming up. And we'll be right back to continue this conversation.
Okay.
Humanity is waking up. We've been on an amazing journey, a physical, mental, and spiritual journey. We face crossroads where we've had to choose between a path of fear or one of love. And now we stand at a precipice unlike ever in our recorded history. Changes to our world are unfolding before our eyes in every aspect of our lives. We face a choice, both individually and collectively as the human race. Are we going to face these times with fear, seen as a lack of money, concern for health, relationships, physical threats, perhaps even a fear to even make a choice? Or we can choose for ourselves and help others toward a path of love leading toward joy, bliss, gratitude. A path filled with remembering our original instructions given to us by this earth, by all life, shown to us through nature, leading us back to our own true nature. This is a time of remembering, being reminded, reconnecting to centuries-old wisdom carried forward by our ancestors. Our course toward our destiny will be determined by our connection to who we are. We must listen to our heart and our soul's wisdom and seeking connection and knowing. We're being called into humble service to each other, to the earth, and to all life here and beyond. The call is real, and it's now. Are you ready?
Love that video. Thank you for that. That was wonderful, Skip. There's some other words popping. And Skip, I didn't acknowledge what you had said. I'm so glad you shared what you shared earlier too, because that you said that in the first episode, and I actually wanted to circle back to that. So thank you for talking about original instructions. And right, and I think that's what you shared, right?
Yeah, and it's not, it's not complicated. I mean, nature The caterpillar doesn't say now, oh my God, I've got to figure out and I've got to do it quick. How much time do I have to become a butterfly? And I got to do it. And the seasons and all the water and the things we're talking about, we get so anxious about doing this. Get in sync and harmony. Like you said, it's all frequency and it's all divine timing. And it's not complicated, but the time is now. And regardless of, I talk about fear versus love, we're talking about the tour of love. And that is a frequency. We talk about it a lot. And fear is a frequency. And so much around us is fear of this, fear of that. If we don't, let's shift that toward reconnecting to our hearts and to that spiritual connection to all of us, and which we're a part of nature. And it's not complicated, I guess, is my message. And the time really is, we can do this and outside, but let's start right here within our own self and our family and our communities. And then we begin an inspiration tsunami. Let's call it the new pandemic of love, but we can do that. And that'll shift everything.
I love that. I love that. And here's where all things combine is that these men are here and they can talk about resources that we as humans can tap into to support that healing process. So I love that, Barry, you've taught, yes, Barry, gems, what you want to, and you, Barry, you're muted for some reason.
What we're talking about, thank you. What we're talking about is that connection is what? A story. You notice how it skips a beautiful video. You saw you talk about different indigenous tribes, right? Indigenous cultures. Well, that's the whole thing. Gemstones, literally, we're talking about, if you have, I just did a show the other day, metals. If you have a metal, if you have gold, silver, iron, and not so much iron, well, iron too, gold, silver, platinum. Where do they come from? They come from the beginnings of the universe, the origins of the universe. So why is it that indigenous cultures, Asian cultures, African cultures, European cultures, some island in the middle of nowhere not only understands gemstones, but values it? That's the key thing. We have to value. If we're going to value the earth, if we're going to do something with the earth, we have to see value in that. No one would take, if this diamond was for real, first of all, everybody be knocking at my door, right? That's all. But there's nobody that would ever, I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, independent, gay, straight, if somebody saw this laying on the street, nobody would say, oh man, that's just a rock. Just throw that away. What if we had that? Why? Because somebody told you a story. Someone told you a story. You could be dirt poor in wherever part of the world. You could be in India. You could be in Appalachia. You could be in Harlem, New York. Dirt poor. But you understand what a diamond is because someone told you that story. So what if Swampy continued to tell the importance of what a swamp means? What does wetlands really mean? What if every time, ever since I had that last show and David was talking about water, I think about cup of water and ice in a whole different way. Like, well, what? Let me do something with that because it's a story. Nothing has value without a story. Nothing. If you had a pen, let's say this pen, they make 1 billion of these. But if all of a sudden, Kim, you told me, oh my God, Barry, hold up that pen again. And I go, what? This little pen? You go, oh my God. Do you know that this pen, that mark, was the mark that Einstein did before he did him? Now I'm like, oh my God, for real? For real? And if someone asks me, Barry, can I borrow your pen? No, you can't get this pen. This is the pen that Einstein used. Why? 30 seconds ago was just a regular pen. But because you told me a story, now it has value.
And that's the power that all of us have to tell that story, whatever that powerful story is. Skip, you've been raising your hand. Go ahead.
I just want to shortly say to compliment that's perfect, Barry, because I mean the story part of that, working in that film, Sacred Journey of the Heart, actually it was back before that, but with the Kogies, they're out of Colombia, the High Sierra Nevada, 14,000 feet up. Go back 10,000 years. They use gold. They call it the blood of the earth. It was a technology. It was hanging from the trees. They buried it with them. It became a technology for them. And they're like ETs to me when I interviewed them and so forth. Oh. But the value of
You
gold.
froze on my end. Everyone else frozen? What happened?
No, I can hear you.
We're all back. Okay.
Yeah.
Skip, go ahead and finish that thought.
No, just that what Barry's saying is gold to the Kogis who go back 10,000 years. They used it as a technology and the value of it, and they called it the blood of the earth.
Ooh. Swampy, what did you want to add to that?
Yeah, thanks very much, you guys. I did want to share this story with you all because it really brings water so much home to me. In 1997, I got hit in an auto accident by a 41-ton rock truck. And I was able to have an out-of-body experience, a near-death experience, excuse me. But I really learned about the body, and I was like, it was on a Friday night. It was cold, and I'm like, can I get home in time for my wife and my family? But what happened was through nature, fortunately, again, I told you all 60s and 70s, real big fan, Boy Scout, all that fun stuff. But I really used the point of nature in order to come back to where I am today. And part of that was using water, and became really involved having physical therapy and occupational therapy. But I started swimming water, and by using the water, the buoyancy, okay, of the water, then I got involved with lap swimming, okay. And it really was a great thing for me personally, using water, because it lifted me up and took that weight off my joints. I'd broken 3 of my 4, 1 arm and 2 legs.
Wow.
So it was a great way to use that. I want to share that again. Dave, I heard you talk about water as well, how that's been so specific, important to me. So I want to share that with y'all.
Thank you for sharing that. And Swampy, so thank you for sharing that. The power of water. And I said earlier that we are consciousness, but everything is consciousness. The water has consciousness. The earth has consciousness. And I want to bring it to a little deeper for those that have never heard of Dr. Masaru Emoto. And I know many of you have here. I'm going to put up on screen this image. Dr. Masaru Emoto, I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He did a water experiment many years ago where he projected these words that you see on the screen. So the phrase thank you, the word wisdom, truth, eternal, angel. Let's move down to evil. Let's move down to you fool. You know, use all sorts of words, projected them at water. And this is what was created. This is how the water received the energy of those words. And so we bring that into today's show to talk about that responsibility that we have and the power of our story and our words to tie in with nature and how it can serve us or, you know, work against us. And so thank you, Swampy. I thought you felt like you led us right into that.
Cool question, Kim. I mean, what are we? 70, 80% water?
Yeah.
So go figure if that's true, which music and everything's frequency. Think about what the thoughts and the music and the words and the energy we surround ourselves, and then connect that with nature of frequency. The same thing happens because we're so much water. So beautiful. I was going to bring up Dr. Masaru Emoto. Yeah, that's and the Hopis. That's big because perfect, Kim.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, Skip. You mentioned water. Let's also not forget trees. A lot of people. I got my degree in forestry at UK, and I found out that trees are like human beings. Okay. We have systems that come up the tree. That's called phloem, Phloem. And just like our own body, okay, that's the arteries. It's blue because it has oxygen, and it goes outside to all of your different limbs. Then we also have something in trees called xylem, Xylem, and that goes down into the root systems, just like veins that are red in the absence of oxygen. So it's just one good example showing trees are like humans. So thank you.
Absolutely. I want to take a moment. We've had so many audience comments, and you guys are awesome, just rocking it in the chat. I want to highlight one that said something I thought was definitely worth speaking to. Charla Schultz is with us, and she says, the forests and oceans are the lungs of the earth. Trees breathe, plants breathe, animals breathe, sea urchins breathe. The whole planet breathes. Without the breath of life, there is no life. Human nature is in harmony and rhythm with Mother Nature through the breath of life. Thank you for that, Charla, because that also is another way that we connect to nature through our breath. And I love that. I just want to kind of, again, connect the dots here, because we've got David talking about clean water. What can we do to make sure that we are using our water effectively and, have clean water? And we've got Swampy talking about the connection where, the swamps. I want to, Swampy, would you say, where do swamps typically occur?
Yeah, typically, again, like I mentioned earlier, around marine systems, they have more salt into that than the freshwater, the estuaries that discharge into the oceans. And then we have rivers, riverine, but it's right on the sides, folks, against that gradient. And that way and I get involved with the science of it. I want to share one other thing with you guys. This past June the 8th, we had a World Ocean Day on Clubhouse, and it was an 18-hour marathon. We picked out 18 different subjects from 18 different houses. Everybody had their own topic and their own speaker, but it was really awesome for us to. Typically, a lot of environmental people on that day will do their own silos, but we were able to come together, and it was a great take. You might check it out on my site, okay? But it's a great thing as far as the oceans, because our oceans are fragile. We have so many issues that we talked about the Amazon, about Florida, their systems, but we have so many issues with plastics called ghost gear. We had the emperor penguin. They had their first sessions of the babies. They didn't have a full session of babies because the sea level has been reduced, and they lost their babies on that sea ice. All these things in our oceans, and the ocean currents, real quick, are cold, and they move back and forth around the ocean. Because it's warming, we're concerned that the oceans may stop that current all around the planet, and then we would be indeed in dire consequences. So we need to share these things using good science.
Thank you for that. And again, that just brings it right back to me, responsibility, right? And so we tend to see that word as like responsibility, one whole thing, but I've seen it broken down, responsibility. How do we choose to respond to these things? When we hear about what's taking place with nature, how do we choose to respond? And how is it going to give back to us when we give to it? And we're nearing the end of the show. We're not done yet, but we're nearing the end of the show. And I'm wondering if anyone else here has a story of how you have healed through nature, or how it's supported you or facilitated you in coming back into balance, that you'd like to share with everyone.
What I'm trying to do with the product that I've created is change habits of man. If you can change things that people do, for example, throwing away garbage is not something that grows on trees. It is created by human beings. It is an action that we do. Certain things that we do create certain conditions, climate change, global warming. Those are things that we can control by dealing with the way we throw away matter elements. We can change those things that we're talking about today. We can make a change by changing our actions, things that we do. Throwing away water in cups, things like urinating in fresh water, or things that human beings on a mass scale level can do that will affect the earth, the things that we want to affect. That's what I've been working on for the last 3 years. Systems that do that.
Thank you for sharing that, David. And Barry, I saw your hand raised. Do you have a story?
Yeah, Gemstones really saved my life. 31 years ago, I was homeless right here in the city of Chicago for a year. It wasn't drugs, it wasn't alcohol, it was anger. My mom was a serious alcoholic, and basically, my name was everything else other than, I'd have loved to have been called Swampy, versus other thing else. And when I was really thinking, I thought death was going to come any day. I mean, I prayed for death because it was so horrible. And I remember asking God, if you can somehow get me through this, I didn't know what I was going to do, but if you can get me through this, somehow the way, I would spend the rest of my life getting people to understand their value, because I was made to feel like I was a rock. I was, you're never going to be, this is a family show, you're never going to be sugar, honey, iced tea. That's it. And it was through studying gemology, studying what all gemstones have to go through, that all gemstones, except maybe pearls, are ugly. They're misshapen. They got things inside of them that doesn't supposed to be there. And it's through It's through, first of all, someone recognizing that that is a ruby, that is an emerald, that is a sapphire, and then having someone take the time to fashion it, to see how best to create it where it emanates and interacts with the light. And then once I started thinking about how those same chemicals that's in a ruby and in a sapphire, in a turquoise, that are the same things that's inside of me. And the advantage is I get a chance to pick which elements that I want inside of me. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. And then when you think about Indian cultures, Chinese cultures, African cultures, European cultures, if all these people understand this, then maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe I need to sit back and realize what I am, what kind of gemstone I am. It's not even about comparison, because the beautiful thing about gemstones is you can have a hope diamond. This could be your diamond. But I get you, any woman, anybody watching this show today, they may have their husband, their partner may have gotten them a little 1/2 carat diamond that they got at Walmart, and they love it. They're like, this is what my man gave me, or your uncle, your grandfather, someone, your mother gave you this ring. And it could be just the littlest, it don't even look like a sapphire. But your grandmother said, this is what your grandfather gave me back in 1800, and you cherish it like a hope diamond. Forget that. I want this. So what if you can teach that same value in yourself? What if you can remember who you were, what chemical composition you have inside of you, not just physically, but spiritually, mentally, and how you can change that to become whatever gemstone you want to be. So I'm literally, like the old commercial, I'm not just the hair club president. I'm a client. Doesn't work with hair, but it works with gemstones. That's what I do.
That was so awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And you said something about remembering, what you were, whatever. I'm totally botching what you said. My point that I want to make to the audience right now is, if you've never done what Barry just talked about, you can start today. You can start today right where you are. Now is valuable. You are valuable. Everything Barry said. Yes. Okay, we are nearing the end of today's show. I'd love to go through our panelists, and I see that we lost Swampy, so maybe we'll see him back really quick. I'm not quite sure. Let's do about 30 seconds, really quick, of just what your final thoughts are on, connecting with nature and that healing power of that. Who would like to go first?
I'm going to go. Oh, okay. Go ahead.
No, Skip. I was going to call you.
Oh, you okay? First of all, heads are kind of like gems. God made a few perfect ones, and the rest of them he put hair on. So but
okay. Hold on. Here we go.
That works.
But no, it goes again as far as connection. It's really starts here, and it's be the change you want to see in the world. And we can go and get into fear and get into belief systems that are just really opinions with emotion about something we don't know to be true. But what we do know to be true is really when we know that connection, we feel it. When you talk about that 1/2 carat, that's a knowing. You can't put a value on that. How much that worth? It's priceless.
Yes.
That's it right here. So be the change you want to see in the world. And I think that's a start.
Absolutely. And just real quick, Barry was talking about, it's the love, it's the intention put into that diamond. I'm going to say, even if you have a fake diamond, right? If it has meaning, it has meaning because of what's been put into it. Okay, David Jones, 30 seconds. What are your final thoughts?
Skip hit it right on the head when he said, be the change. We all are the change. Each and every one of us are changing a few simple habits that we have of creating garbage, of dealing with it in a fashion that, we shouldn't be creating it. Anyway, that's my message, is we are the change. Each and every one of us can make a difference. And it involves educating us as to what we should or should not be doing. And we can solve a lot of problems by working together.
Thank you, David. Thank you for sharing that. And Barry, final thoughts, 30 seconds.
It's about value. we live in a world where people don't value other things. They don't value friendships. They don't value relationships. They don't value the earth, the water. So to me, I want people just to take time to discover the value of who you are. What kind of gemstone are you? How did you, everything you did to get to wherever you are right now is valuable. No different than all the things that a diamond had to go through, a ruby had to go through, the places you find, all the places you find gemstones are usually messed up places, but yet it's beauty in that. You see that beauty, see that value in yourself, and then see how who you are interacts with the world. We got 4 people here who, and I'm not even counting myself, who have changed the world. Swampy, and then so they saw that value and decided to take that gemstone that they are
Yep.
and let
Barry,
the
I gotta cut you off. I'm so
No,
sorry,
done.
Barry.
I'm
Okay.
done.
Okay, Swampy, we have to close out really, really soon. Do you have like one sentence you'd like to say to final thoughts?
No, really, just glad to be back, and nice to meet all you guys again. And let's do our best to promote the health of the planet.
Okay, you guys have been fabulous today. Thank you to our panelists for coming back, and Swampy trying again, all of it, and to our audience. You're amazing. Have an amazing day. We will see you all again very, very soon. And let me get my thing here. Where is it? Where did our little outro video go? Thanks for rolling with us. And don't see it. So here
I want to say thank you for joining us today and welcome you back next Sunday as we once again are joined by a panel of subject matter experts that will explore and focus in on our fabulous lives. Until next Sunday.